The next section that we're going to cover involves command and investigations. This takes a look at it from a different lens and perspective, the perspective of the command officer who has been given an investigation to conduct. One of the first things you want to ask after being assigned an investigation is, what type of an investigation am I conducting? Generally, there's two types. First, if it's an internal investigation, the idea of Garrity should be a non-issue. The officer who you are going to interview can invoke Garrity, and the protected statement can be used for any internal purpose up to and including termination. In other words, the Garrity statement allows the employer to discipline the employee for any information that the subject of the investigation is giving. The statement, remember, the Garrity statement protects only in a criminal proceeding. So it shouldn't be an issue if the officer is asking to invoke or is invoking their right, asserting their right of Garrity. And again, they control that right. It is the command or the employer's compulsion which brings about the Garrity, which is not self-executing, but is a right that has to be invoked by the officer. So in other words, if you want the information, the best way to do it in these internal investigations is to allow the assertion of Garrity. The other type of investigation that would be conducted is a criminal investigation. Now, if this is a criminal investigation, obviously Garrity is not applicable here, because a Garrity assertion obviously is protected against any criminal subsequent proceedings, and therefore the officer typically in a criminal investigation, if you're being asked to do one, would invoke the right to remain silent, and that is good enough. You cannot compel somebody to give up that right to remain silent. So any Garrity statement given would not be able to be used in a subsequent criminal proceeding, and furthermore, you cannot compel or force a person to make a statement in a criminal investigation with the threat of an employment sanction. Again, you are basically providing the officer who you're interviewing with the notion that this is a criminal investigation, and if they invoke the right to remain silent, that has to be honored and respected as the constitutional right that they are given in this situation. And any statement that's compelled under the threat of employment, will be protected constitutionally and statutorily, and also jeopardize any prosecution because of the fact that any information given that is used to come up with further information or evidence would likely be suppressed in a criminal prosecution due to the fact that it was an involuntary statement. A lot of times the question comes up, can I order cooperation with an outside investigation? In other words, an officer or an employee is the subject of an investigation in a criminal case, and an outside agency such as the state police or sheriff's mission team or any other agency other than the employer wants to do a criminal investigation or has been assigned to do a criminal investigation. And the answer to that, can I order cooperation with an outside investigation, is no. However, you can order the subject of the investigation there to the interview, but you cannot make them talk. Again, the statement cannot be compelled as a condition of employment. Again, going back to the basics of Garrity, the Garrity assertion applies when an employer compels the employee to provide information, and that compulsion triggers the Garrity protection and also the statutory protection as well. And as stated in the Gardner case, which was discussed in the Garrity section here, that statement cannot be compelled as a condition of employment by an outside agency. In other words, you cannot make them waive their right to remain silent. In closing, with regard to critical incidents and Garrity and all that we've discussed in this first section, it is very, very important that you develop an internal procedure, that you have in mind who you're going to call, you know when to call, and always when in doubt, you're to ask your business agent. And further information is provided on the POAM website, which is www.poam.net.